how to know at what frequency you are, how to recognize it, how to sense it, and how to raise it, and what it means to match your energy to the energy of the certain specific thing so you can attract it, or rather create it in your personal reality. It comes from questions I received from yesterday's video, and I thought, well, it would be really great to talk about this, as in all that consciousness movement that's happening right now, more and more people are talking about it, and it's actually great. It's great to discuss those topics, but sometimes when people are new to that or they're studying the subjects, they can't fully understand what does it mean. Like, how can I know at what kind of energy, or what is my level of energy, how to raise it up, and how to plug myself to a certain thing that I would like to attract into my reality, because it's all possible. And if we go through the questions, they were like, how do I know what frequency am I on? The second one was, what is the frequency of the thing that I want? This one is really great. The third one was, how do I raise my frequency? Really amazing. Then the next one was, what would be the books that I would recommend that could explain frequencies, energies, maybe science behind that? And the last one was actually really important. What's the Porsche frequency, the car frequency? It's truly amazing, because if we're wondering what's the frequency of a life I want to live, then I can raise my energy to the level where my energy can start matching the energy of that reality, and therefore I start bending my reality and drawing towards myself the ideas, the right people, the right information, and eventually the right things that can help me to make it happen. So it's all possible, my friends. I will talk from my personal understanding and what helped me in my life to bend my reality and to create a life that is really, really, really incredible for me. So I will talk from my personal experiences. But if we go a little bit into quantum physics, for example, there's a saying that an active observer always creates something possible to see. It comes from the observer effect, which means that every time you're looking at something, you're changing what you're looking at based by your personal beliefs around a thing. Which means that if you close your eyes and disconnect from your five senses, all those things may disappear until you start looking for them. And as soon as you place your attention to them, they appear once again. That's quantum physics. But when it comes to understanding the energy, you've most probably have seen this picture, which shows the emotional vibration chart. So what it shows different emotions, and you see the color spectrum, you see here numbers that may explain hertz as frequencies. But most importantly, we need to ask ourselves, is this real? And we have to ask ourselves how certain emotion truly feels like. So we can start sensing the energy, because emotion is energy in motion. That's what it is. And we need to learn to sense emotions completely objectively, or let's say completely without judging them. Completely without judging them. That's the best explanation. So we start sensing how something feels like, and that's how we recognize what is the energy of certain circumstances in our lives. And you may notice that, for example, shame, guilt, or grief maybe, or fear, or desire, or anger, or pride, if you sense those emotions, you will notice that you feel much lower energy. You don't feel much enthusiastic when you're angry. You don't feel much motivated and inspired when you're all sad and disconnected from the life you would actually like to live, or when you're in lack of something, when something is lacking, you experience that maybe sadness or maybe fear of how something may work out. And when you experience those emotions, you soon start to feel more of it. You soon start to experience more of it. And that's the frequency. That's the energy you're in. And as Nikola Tesla said, he said, if we want to understand the secrets of this universe, we need to think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency. So what he meant by that, if we want to understand how the nature of reality works, we need to think in terms of energy, we need to think in terms of vibration, and we need to think in terms of frequency, like how to raise my frequency, how to level up my energy, and how to, how to vibe with, or actually how to detect the vibration. When we say, I don't vibe with that, it's real. It means that my energy doesn't match with that thing, and my heart is saying you deserve more. So if you want to recognize then what energy or what frequency you're generating, you have to pay attention to your emotional state at this present moment. And sure, you can change it, you can elevate it, you can raise your energy, but you have to disconnect for a moment from what is causing you to feel how you feel right now. So you start looking at what made you feel how you feel, and you can start reflecting on how to change that, because your natural state was never to be sad, to be afraid, to be frustrated. Those are not natural states. Those are rather altered states that were caused by whatever happened and were triggered by our beliefs around what we think and believe that is happening, how we are choosing to perceive things. And therefore, if we want to change our perception, we have to expand our knowledge around what is happening, because the fact is that we are only afraid of what we don't understand, and we judge the things that we don't understand. So if we want to overcome fear, we need to expand our understanding, which means we need to expand our knowledge and implement it and see what works and what doesn't work. So we have many great ways to raise our energy and to actually go beyond our present state. And for example, in the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's teaching people to disconnect from their environment, to disconnect from their 5 senses, from seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and tasting. And once you disconnect from your 5 senses, a great question is, what do you experience? What do you sense? Still, without your 5 senses that are plugging you into this reality, you start to sense something that is deeper. You start to sense maybe your essence, or you start to sense a presence of something greater. Whatever happens to you, that's where you experience that you're not just defined by this reality. You are actually defining it by your perception, by your beliefs around it. So that's what causes us to feel a certain way, and that's what plugs us to a certain level of energy. And then if we want to raise our energy, this is something truly important then. We have to understand how that different life we would like to live feels like, how it feels like, because it's all about feeling it, right? And that's where we start firstly wondering, what would be our emotional state if we would be already living that life? That's where we start coming to an understanding. What's the energy level? What's, how the frequency on which that certain reality exists feel like? how it feels like. So it means that you firstly have to have clarity in your mind. What is the thing you would like to attract towards you? So you can create more coherence in your brain. And I want to show you something, why coherence is so important. Because you've most probably heard, if you're familiar with the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden or Bruce Lipton, you've heard about the importance of heart coherence and brain coherence. So what does it all mean? I will show you here the picture of a laser. On the lower side there's incoherent LED light, and on the upper side there's coherent laser light. So what's the difference? When you have incoherent mind, which means that your thoughts are a bit all over the place, you don't have clear focus around what truly matters to you, what you want to experience in your life. In other words, you don't have clarity around the life you want to live. Your mind is like this lower photo, the incoherent LED light, which means that you're a bit foggy, you don't feel much motivated, much inspired, and therefore your energy goes to all kinds of other things, right? And as I mentioned in the previous video, I said to you, there is no wasted energy, only invested. So if you don't have coherent brain, coherent mind, means that your energy is going to too many different places, too many different possibilities, and therefore your energy is not strong enough to narrow it only to the life you want to live or you intend to live, and therefore the things you want never happen. You may experience some small synchronicities, some small what some people call coincidences, but not many things change. It's because you don't have coherent brain, because you don't have coherent mind. And sure, we are not all day long coherent and all peaceful and all sharp around the lives we want to live, but at least we can develop a practice that can help us to maintain that state. And often we use meditation. And again, in science, especially the science that is coming from the HeartMate Institute, can tell us that when our heart gets coherent, also our brain gets coherent. And we can also learn that the electromagnetic field of the heart is much stronger than the electromagnetic field of the brain, which means that we use our brain, we use our mind for sending the thought out, for sending the intention out, for sending our ideas of what we want out into this field of possibilities. But then our heart is the magnet that attracts those possibilities to us. And it means that your heart needs to be activated. And to experience coherency in your heart, you have to know how to do it energetically, which means through your emotions you activate your heart. With the technology of your emotional body, you activate your heart. You use your mind as a tool of attention, and you place your attention into your heart. And then when you place your attention into your heart, you awaken emotions of gratitude, of inner peace, for example. Like if we try it right now, you place your attention into your heart. You can breathe into your heart, slowly breathe in and breathe out. And if you think about one thing you're really grateful for right now, for example, for your heart that is beating, or for a person that really cares for you, or you find one thing that you've achieved recently and you're really grateful for the results that found you, you experience a pleasant sensation in your body. And that's where you can know and you feel and you experience that your heart has calmed down. And once we learn the art of heart coherence, we learn to regulate our emotional body. And that is when we learn to make this energy, as you can see on the lower picture, that is incoherent, we learn to make it more coherent. And the difference is in the signal. I will show you another picture. Here, this one is coming from the book Mind to Matter by Dawson Church. Here. I recommend this book. We'll talk about it also later. So here you can see the difference of energetic graph, where there's at the top, there's anger, and on the lower picture, there's appreciation. You see much more beautiful line. And you can imagine then, if you have an intention that travels on that flowy frequency, what is happening? That intention will most probably arrive to the source with the same energy that you've sent it. But when frequencies like that, all chaotic, it's not necessary that the signal you've sent out is clear, is precise. It may look more like you've sent out a chaotic signal, and what comes to you is chaos, is something chaotic, something that will awaken more chaos. So that means that when you send a coherent signal out, something coherent will find you back. You know, like when you throw something into the water and you see those waves that starts expanding. And if then there's a wall in the water, all those coherent waves will start coming back to the center in which that certain thing entered into the water. And that's how energy works. That's why frequency is so important. So to understand, so when we're wondering what's then the frequency of a certain thing that we want, we have to ask ourselves how that thing would feel like. How that thing would feel like. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you are thinking about having something that you don't have right now, imagine yourself having it. And you have to be precise what that thing is. So one important thing that I do is I write things down. I write things down, like all the things that I want. And then from all those things that I want, I take another paper and I write down even more precisely what I need right at this moment, or what would I need right at this moment, because those are then main priorities. Sure, all our wants are important, but we have to focus on the most important things firstly, whatever those things are. And then I close my eyes and I imagine already having that. Why is it important? Because as I said before, the focus of your awareness becomes the reality of your world, which means that when you start visualizing something that is important to you, you also start feeling it. For some people it's easier to visualize something, for some people it's harder. It depends of how much we have evolved mind, how much we have activated center inside of our brain to visualize it. We can develop it, we can work on it if we practice visualization, if we practice clear thinking. For example, sitting in quietness and focusing on the space between one thought and another for 5 to 10 minutes, we can develop this ability to visualize something. And as we are visualizing something that is important to us, we start sensing how it would feel like if we would already have it. That's how we start noticing the energy of that thing. And usually we experience a sense of gratitude. We experience a sense of happiness, a sense of joy. And you notice, well, if I would do more things in my life that would awaken that sense of gratitude, that sense of joy, that sense of peace, that sense of happiness in my life, I would spend more time in those higher energies, in those higher frequencies. And there comes the art of raising our frequency. We have to ask ourselves, what is helping us to raise my energy? What can help me to raise my energy? So, as the question was, what's the frequency of a Porsche? Well, my answer is the frequency of a Porsche may be a similar frequency as it is of your present car. Just that you've placed more importance on the Porsche, and because the price of the Porsche is higher, you've made it more inaccessible, and therefore you feel more separated from it. You can't see a possibility to get there. But if you would visualize yourself having a Porsche, being in that car, driving it, smelling it, you may notice that all you sense is just gratitude, right? All you sense is just gratitude or easiness or maybe nothing special, like it's just a car. Something I've experienced, as I had my dream car in the past. I wrote it down, everything, and 2 years ago I was able to buy that car. And soon after that I've noticed, well, I love that car, but it still feels just as a car, like it's nothing special. It's just a car that I like, that bring me from point A to point B. So we notice, well, if we wouldn't place so much importance onto something that feels inaccessible to us, we would notice that things are not so far away as we think they are. And then we focus rather on doing more things that bring us those sensations that we think we will experience when we get those things. And we start maintaining that energy in the present moment, which means that we start actually enjoying our lives more. And as we are enjoying our lives more, we notice that what happens is really interesting. Life is all about creation, which means life itself is a creative process. It's a process that is constantly creating, which means that more we are enjoying life, more we are in tune with life, and more we are in tune with life, more we become creative for living life. Which means that more we become creative for living life, more we start downloading and getting inspiration. What else could we create in our lives? What else could we change in our lives to live more blissfully, to live more passionately, more compassionately, more joyfully, and so on? So the act of raising your energy is not focused on getting things. It's more focused on living a better life. Which brings us to understanding that in order to attract great things into your life, you have to live a great life. You have to feel like you're living a great life. And then all you need is to use your intentions and to organize them in a way that you have clarity around to what kind of destination you're walking towards. And on that path, you will meet all your needs. Everything will find you as you have, like I've showed you before, this coherent laser focus towards the life you want to live. And that is something that is truly important. There's a lot of science to back this whole concept. And I think if I recommend few books for you, one is most definitely Mind to Matter. It's from Dawson Church. He did a great job on explaining all those concepts, why or how it works, that manifestation actually can happen, that you can actually manipulate reality and get the things that you always wanted if you learn to work with the energy, the way that you start organizing your life in a sense that you start fully living, that you actually focus on the things that awaken more of those emotions that you experience when you're visualizing the life you would like to live. The second book that is really, really powerful, and one of my favorites, is The Divine Matrix. It's a book by Greg Braden. He did a really incredible job at explaining through scientific facts how manifestation works. And he went much further into it, how this universe works, how the divine matrix works, and how we are here just observers of this holographic universe where we tend to experience what we focus on the most, what is the most important to us, and what we believe that is accessible to us. Because if you place your importance onto huge amounts of money, but you don't believe that it's possible for you, you will always find that those huge amounts of money only in other people's lives, but never at yours. So you have to shift your belief around what's possible for you. It's a concept of how we choose to experience life. And beliefs are formed by consistent repetition of certain thoughts that we are thinking about, which means that we have to learn to develop a sense of control about or around what we choose to perceive, what kind of information we are perceiving, what we're listening, what we are watching, what we're reading, what we're looking at. And we unplug ourselves from the things that are destructive for us. And we start reading more uplifting books, for example, like the ones that I've shared with you. Another one is Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He truly simplified all those concepts through science and practical understanding. So those are just few books. There's many more of them. If you're more into science, we could talk much more about everything. If you're more into spirituality, there's more books that can help you in that. So it depends how your brain works. And again, of course, as I mentioned, that you have to also understand yourself, like how you work. Do you need more scientific data to make you believe into something, or you're more like a spiritual person, more sensitive one, that all you need is just a story of someone who experienced a huge transformation, and it's enough for you to believe that it's possible for you as well. So study yourself. I always say to you, study yourself. See how uniquely you are functioning, and then find the information that can inspire you on that journey so you can transform your life, so you can raise your energy. Because in my understanding and in my personal experiences, I've noticed that my natural energy, my natural frequency is being at peace, being creative, being passionate about help, being helpful in this society, being a source of inspiration for others, because I want to see people thriving. I want to see people happy and excited about lives. I want to see people waking up grateful and excited to experience another day. That's what I want to see. And because I love people and I would love to see more of that on the world, I want to provide that to all of you. So my natural state is being that kind of a co-creator here to bring this information out. And you have to learn for yourself what is your natural state. Through some deep meditation, you will notice what you experience when you disconnect from this external world. And I hope you found something valuable in today's video, in everything I've shared today with you. And if we just shortly reflect on everything that we've been talking about, firstly, you have to become more familiar with sensing your emotions. You have to know what do you feel right at this present moment in terms of emotions, and at what kind of emotional state you are right now. You have to start connecting the dots. What is causing you to feel that way? So you go out of the state of a victim And you become more objective around, oh, that thing triggered me. Let's work on those triggers. Let's work on what am I afraid of, what I don't understand about myself. And then start studying the subject so you can expand your understanding around the things that are triggering you. And that's where you will start losing the sense of fear, because you will expand your sense of understanding. And then develop a practice that can help you to tap into your heart and learn to create heart coherence that will allow you also to experience brain coherence. Then develop clarity around the life you want to live, around the future you want to experience. So when you tap into this heart-brain coherence, when you do the meditation, the visualization, you can coherently send the signal out of the life you want to live. But remember, through your intentions, through your visualization, you're sending signal out. Through feeling emotionally, feeling love for that life, feeling gratitude for that life, feeling excitement for that life, you're attracting that life back to you. And develop it as a practice. And if you want to know what's the energy of a certain specific thing that you would like to attract, visualize it and in tune with it, how it feels like. You can, if that's a small thing like a phone or anything that, let's say you would like to manifest a certain book in your life, like visualize yourself holding that book already in your hands, smell it, when you open it and you can smell the paper, you can, you touch it, you're listening it, you're reading it, visualize all of that and feel how it feels as that book is in your hands. Feel how it feels, on the tips of your fingers and where are you reading it and so on. And maybe out of nowhere, somewhere that book will just find you. Maybe somebody will give it to you, maybe somebody will send it to you, or whatever may happen. Practice the small things. Try it with simple things so we can notice that actually synchronistic events are happening for those who are who are synchronizing their energy, who are working on synchronizing their energy. Every time we synchronize an energy, every time we sync with something that excites us, we create a change in our field of energy. And that's where we start attracting to us many interesting things that may just remind us that we are doing the right thing, that we are doing the work, that something is changing, and keep up. All the synchronicities are signs to keep up, because you are walking towards the life you're intending to experience. Sometimes it takes more time, sometimes it takes less time, but keep it up. My friends, once again, I hope you found something valuable. I'm sending you lots of love, blessings, and power. Till next time, one love.